coming soon from Big Finish Productions. Doctor Who: The Lost Stories. Mission to Magnus.
Oh, this is where the evolved live, where the wonders are, the magic, the knowledge of 1,000 years of time travel experience.
Does not disruption, destruction, the bloodshed of war between two worlds merit intervention from the Time Lords?
No, it doesn't.
Doctor, we're not on our own. Look.
Another TARDIS?
You still are not to be trusted. You must join the rest for execution.
I have to die! No more still! No!
This TARDIS has moved us forward in time. We are seeing Magnus as it will be in the future.
Devastated. Blasted. Destroyed.
Doctor, you have thwarted our plans before, have you not?
Once or twice. I'd rather like to do it again.
At last we triumph. At last our race has a home. Now we can arise and conquer.
No! No! Get away!
Oh, all right, mate. You gave me a scare there. What's happened to you? You look in a right state.
It's after me! Get out of my way! It's coming!
Hang on, mate. I can help.
No! No! Please!
Oh, my God.
Oh, what a view!
Doesn't look so special to me, Doctor. Do we have to come all the way up this rusty old tower just to see that? You know I'm not good with heights.
You can't come to Blackpool, Perry, and not go up Blackpool Tower?
If you say so.
Oh, there's nowhere else like it. Well, nowhere in this galaxy, anyway. They're trying to build one out on the rim of the Crab Nebula, but the design concept's all wrong. They're trying to build it for a purpose.
What's wrong with that?
Well, everything. You can't build a place like this for a mere purpose. Oh, don't talk to me of fluid lines provoked by the ergonomic imperatives.
All right, I won't.
Or the strict adherence to the symbolic form, classical use of conceptual space.
I promise I won't talk about anything like that.
Designers gobbledygook, architects flimflam.
I quite agree. You haven't the faintest idea what you're talking about.
No, you'll never win that argument. Not here. This is perfection. This is genius. This is classic frivolity.
It's okay, I suppose, if you like that sort of thing.
Okay? Okay? I'll show you okay. Come on, we haven't a moment to lose.
Where to now?
You're going to enjoy yourself if it kills you.
Mr. Kevin Stoney.
Yeah, I've been waiting ages.
Sit down, lad. Didn't take much finding, did this, lad? Right on top of the pile. You're quite a regular visitor to our humble establishment, aren't you?
Not by choice.
Oh, they all say that, lad. I'm surprised we haven't met before.
Well, I've asked often enough.
Someone in authority, I believe you stipulated.
That's right.
Well, I do. I mean, I'm only a lowly inspector. You could have chief inspector, superintendent, chief superintendent.
You'll do.
Chief constable's not got much on today, shall I?
No, it's all right.
Your statement of this morning, relating to events of last night in the amusement park. Truthful statement, is it?
Yeah,
Just a simple statement of the facts.
that's right.
The figure was glowing red with some green or blue at the edges, about 7 feet tall and heavily built. The red colour seemed to pulsate, giving the impression that the figure was increasing then decreasing in size. It had no eyes, no ears, nothing I could describe as a face. I'll be honest with you, lad, we've blundered.
How?
At this point, the sergeant who took your statement should have determined if there are any distinguishing marks.
Oh, ha.
Oh, I'm sure you'll excuse the oversight, but we shouldn't have much trouble finding Chummy in a crowd, should we?
No trouble at all. Even you lot.
The figure of a Chinese mandarin appearing and disappearing into thin air, strange lights appearing 20 feet off the ground, strange light appearing at ground level. So there was nothing unusual about last night, then? I mean, it was pretty much like any other night you find yourself in the amusement park on your way home from a party.
Aye, there was something different last night.
Oh, aye.
Last night, the Mandarin wasn't there.
No mandarin.
That's right. All the other times, the Mandarin was there.
Right, lad. Why don't you just tell me all about this mandarin?
Laughter's supposed to be jolly.
Depends on your sense of humour, I suppose.
What are you looking for?
No, nothing. He just reminds me of someone I once knew, or rather, something. Nasty little pet of a fellow called Magnus Greel. Oh, but that was about 100 years ago.
Then he'd be a very old pet now.
Yes, that was the idea, rather. Oh, this is no place for gloomy thoughts. Onwards!
Yes, Doctor.
Now, where are you?
Edible? You can't be serious.
Sure it is. It's candy sauce. Go on, try it.
There you are. It's so good to see you, Doctor. I have been waiting for you for such a very, very long time.
Astonishing. The triumph of volume over mass taken to its logical conclusion. Where'd you say you found it?
In the booth over there.
No. The £5 note you used to pay for it.
In a sporran in the TARDIS cloakroom. I nearly brought that as well, but it wouldn't go with this outfit.
Good heavens. It must be Jamie's. He was always so careful with his cash.
He won't mind, will he?
I'm sure he did. Will? Does? Oh, I don't know. This is an emergency, isn't it? Where else can I go in the universe to have a bit of innocent fun, I ask you?
Well, as always.
Too dull.
Atlantic City?
Totally uninspired.
Disneyland?
In 100 years or so. Give it time to settle. This is the place for a holiday. I could never understand all those sea and sand places you were talking about. Taking a bath in sodium chloride and then wallowing on a bed of mica crystals. Extraordinary way to behave. Add to that long-term exposure to ultraviolet and you go a long way towards explaining the basic irrationality of the human race.
You talk as though you wanted to come here.
Well, I did. Once I was here.
Your attitude towards self-determination could be called pragmatic.
Is there any other sort of self-determination? There's a malfunction, that's all.
That's all? We get yanked halfway across the Milky Way and that's all?
I promised you a real holiday and here we are. I thought you'd like it.
I do. But this is not the center of the universe, is it?
Well, it's close.
A space-time vortex, you said?
Yes.
So strong it could only be at the center of the danger zone, you said.
It had all the appearances.
The nexus of the primeval cauldron of space-time itself, were the exact words you used.
That's a very apt turn of phrase.
For this?
Perhaps. Just a little florrid.
And my colleagues in the uniform branch tell me they've organised almost 20 additional foot patrols over the past 3 months on the basis of your information. Now, that's a hell of a lot of police time, lad, and they found precisely nothing.
There was nothing going on the nights your coppers were out.
Not even once, no. No flashing lights, no mandarins, no red giants. They're a clever lot, aren't they? You were warned off making more reports of sighting your brother at that fair. We are not a missing persons bureau. Your brother's over 16 and he's committed no crime that we are aware of. You will stop wasting police time.
But I just
if you find yourself in that park one more time on your way home from a party, I shall view it very seriously indeed. So seriously that I might forget my professional detachment and personally throw the flaming book at you. Do I make myself clear?
Can I go now?
Aye, you could go. I hope you find your brother, son. And if you do, that's the next and last time I ever want to see you. All right?
All right, aye.
But, lad,
Yeah?
you spot any more red giants, you send them along to Preston North End. They could do with all the help they could get.
Enter.
My lord?
Ah, Stefan. What news do you bring me?
The spacecraft is like no other we have seen. In truth, it seems hardly a spacecraft at all. But there is nothing else at the coordinates you gave us. I could detect no propulsion units, and no aerofoils, and no means of access. I have set the barrier around it as you instructed. Of the occupants, there is no sign.
We have them, I believe, Stefan. The biodata will soon confirm his identity beyond any shadow of a doubt. See, Stefan? Here they are.
They didn't have candy floss in Brighton.
It wasn't invented then. I thought you knew all about Earth history.
Doctor.
Yes?
What?
You spoke?
No, I didn't.
Excellent.
Oh!
We're off! Ha ha!
Shardlow,
Sir,
shouldn't you be looking after dinner?
I was just preparing the guest room, sir.
We have other guests, Shardlow. I imagine they're getting hungry.
Yes, sir.
And hurry, man! You know how jealous our lord is of his reputation for hospitality.
Yes, sir. Immediately, sir.
Doctor, are you all right?
I have never, in any of my lives, I left at least one of my hearts at the bottom of that first dip. I have shot through black holes. I have sailed through supernovas. But never...
I really enjoyed it.
Enjoyed it? It was magnificent.
Oh, shall we go round again?
In a while, yes, in time we will, yes.
The doctor's biodata, my lord.
Thank you, Stefan.
2 hearts, lord. Perhaps the equipment...
If there were only one Stefan, then I should be sadly disappointed. Match them now. DNA and RNA profiles. A little older, probably no wiser, but certainly the same Time Lord. It's good to see you again, Doctor.
Yes?
What?
You did it again.
Did what?
Called my name.
I didn't know such thing.
What?
Doctor.
What? Who is it?
Are you all right? Did the right spin your head too much?
It's a man's voice. Stupid of me. It's clearer now.
What man?
His name is Tyrone. He was right by me. I just went up to get some more change from your Jimmy up there, and when I turned round, he'd gone.
Look, love, we get all kinds of kids in here. If they're under 16 and unaccompanied, out they go. He could have said he was with his mum, couldn't he?
He wouldn't have go just wandering. He's daft, but he's no that daft.
Something wrong here.
What? That poor lady's lost her child. That's what's wrong.
No, something else. The whole place, the whole feel of it.
You turning psychic or something?
Psychic? You don't turn psychic. You are or you aren't. Unfortunately, I'm not. Well, not much, anyway.
Tyrone, where have you been? I've been going out of my mind. Oh, it's those toffee apples, that and the fizzy drinks in this place. Dad'll be that mad when I get you home. I'm that sorry, mister. He's all right now. Aren't you, Tyrone?
That's all right, then.
Doctor.
What?
Doctor?
You didn't hear that?
Hear what?
Someone calling my name.
No, nothing.
Right. Not a loudspeaker, then. A Psy broadcast? I mean, possibly narrowband. Old-fashioned telepathy, then, but so clear, so direct, so expert.
Doctor.
Right. Come on.
This is almost too easy. Time has done nothing to sharpen his wits after all.
You know him, Lord?
Oh, yes, Stefan. The Doctor and I are old friends.
I shall prepare to greet him, Lord.
Do that, Stefan. Make everything ready. I have waited centuries for this.
Galactic adventure. Not sure I like the sound of this one. Can't we go on the ghost train instead?
What?
What's wrong?
Huh?
Can you still hear it?
Not now.
What sort of voice is it?
Siren song. Maybe I should lash myself to the mast.
Where does it come from, this voice?
That's what I'm trying to discover.
But where? I mean, where exactly was the last call from?
About where we're standing, I'd say.
Galactic adventure.
See anything?
I'm not looking that hard.
Then you've presumably failed to notice your admirer.
What?
Shh, don't look. Young man, dark hair, standing by the ticket booth.
Where?
I said don't look! He's been with us since the amusement arcade. Seemed to take quite an interest in our conversation.
What should we do?
He looks harmless. Keep an eye on him, though. He's followed us this far, and I suspect he'll join us on the ride. Right! Time to take a trip on galactic adventure. 2, please.
Next 2.
We're close. I can feel it.
Doctor!
You heard it this time.
Yes!
Okay, next couple. Come on, lad. You and your girlfriend.
No, we're not together. I'm with...
That's okay, Perry. That's our shadow. Stick with him. I'll be sitting right behind you.
Okay, if you say so.
Right, let that one go.
Doctor!
No, wait, there's still room in that carriage. I can...
Don't you worry, sir. We've got a very special carriage for you.
Oh, don't worry, Perry. I'll see you at the other end.
Here you are, sir. One to yourself.
Well, thank you.
Have a good trip.
Don't worry, Perry, I'm right behind you. Well, at least I think I am.
Like pieces on a board, my lord. You plot their every move exactly.
Their predictability makes for a dull game, I fear. But then they still don't know they're playing, do they?
What instructions shall I give on the girl, lord?
We must wait, mustn't we? She'll make her way to us soon, with that tiresome young man in attendance.
Efficient though any service area might be, I do think you ought to consider improving your braking system once you branch the line. I very nearly flew over the handlebars, you know.
Just keep moving.
And that's another thing. Those safety bars have got rather nasty little bumps on the top. The same on that wonderful roller coaster thing. Now, they might well enhance the design features.
Move!
Did I ever tell you about my design theory? It mainly concerns the fluid lines provoked by the ergonomic imperatives.
The doctor was in the car right behind me. People don't just disappear.
That's what I've been telling you, lass. There's no way anyone could get off this ride once it's begun until they get back to the platform here. We best have a word with security.
I think we better go to the police.
Who the hell are you?
A friend, that's all.
Snoop, more like.
If you won't take this seriously, we'll find someone who will.
Look, lass, you go and talk to the security department. They've got the authority. Through that door there and second on the right.
Come on, I'll go with you.
Why were you following us, and who are you, my friend?
I'm Kevin. I was just...
You're a right pain in the neck, that's what you are. We'd better take you somewhere and have your little complaint dealt with, hadn't we?
Oh, I say, this is a far more impressive arcade. How much is it to go on these?
Keep your hands to yourself.
Take him to his quarters. Our lord is not yet ready to receive him.
Your lord? That's either very religious or very subservient. And you don't look like the religious type.
Get him out of here!
Oh, yeah, steady on. No offence meant.
This mob are obviously behind the whole thing. If it's this well organised, no wonder the police didn't find anything.
I think we'll do better than that. Though what we're going to do with what we do find...
Cut the cackle and get a move on.
Inside.
Ow. Can't you just say please? Prison cells. They're all the same. Made to keep little minds out, and big minds quite definitely in.
It's no good. I can't breathe.
Are you all right?
What's up? Keep back.
Kevin, get the gun!
Put that down!
What are you doing?
I can't get
through! You idiot! Kevin, come on! Run for it!
Hey,
run!
get back here!
Are you all right? You're bleeding!
Yeah, it must have been a ricochet. It just nicked me. I've never been shot at before, even by myself.
Have you ever shot at someone else before?
No.
I didn't think so.
I did fine first time out.
You nearly shot everyone in sight first time out.
Don't knock it. It worked.
It did that. You want me to look at your arm?
No, it's all right, really. Where is he?
Thinking twice about coming round that bend. So would I.
You can bet he'll be back and he won't come on his own next time. We'd better get on.
Down the tunnel?
Not much choice, is there? Come on.
Aha! There you are. I knew you'd be watching from somewhere. Well, don't hurry on my account. Just let me know what you want when you're ready. If I expire of boredom before that, I hope you take it personally.
Ah, a T-junction. Which way now? Toss a coin?
Or take the third option.
What do you mean? You're not thinking of stopping and fighting it out, are you?
Don't be daft. I wouldn't know what to do with this thing.
There are quicker and easier ways of becoming a colander.
I reckon we must be under that arcade by now. We've got a good idea what's waiting for us at the end of either of those tunnels and back there, so why not take a chance through here?
I can think of 100 good reasons. Doesn't look like it's been open for years. It's probably rusted shut. Ah, wrong again, Perry.
After you, Perry.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? I'm in the cell next to you. Aha! Communication. Now, where are we? Ask not for whom the pipe clangs. Aha! Not the Abbé Ferrier, then. Right, let's have another go.
Where are we now? I can barely see anything.
Not sure. Still somewhere in the amusement park, I think.
Maybe this wasn't such a good idea.
Better than being shot at.
Marginally.
What is it?
There's someone there, watching us.
The lights!
He's not real. It's just a dummy. A mechanical dummy.
It's the gold mine ride. We're right in the middle of the gold mine ride.
Well, which way now?
Why not ask the old timer?
Oh, excuse me, mate. Where's the nearest police station? I might have known. Follow the yellow brick road.
Come on then. Can't be far, and at least we can see where we're going now.
Ah, at last. Now, 3 blind mice, 3 blind mice. See how they run, see how they run. Oh, just my luck. Banged up with a fellow prisoner who doesn't even know 3 blind mice.
Everything seemed to be happening near the Penny Arcade. The lights, the Mandarin, that red thing. And Jeff, the time I spotted him, he was with this fella dressed all in black. Just my idea of a mafia hitman. That was outside the arcade. And that's where he vanished too. It all leads back to that arcade.
Well, this doesn't lead back to the arcade, and the doctor didn't vanish in the arcade, and we didn't get shot at in the arcade. Say, How come they switched this thing on just when we walked into it?
Oh, come on. I'm supposed to be the paranoid one, remember?
Well, I'm always paranoid when people are hunting me.
They didn't switch it on when we came in. It just got switched on, that's all.
Oh, come on. I just want to get out amongst the nice, friendly crowd and into the nearest police station before someone decides to switch it all off again. What was that?
Oh, we're getting nowhere. If we could just find some common ground. Well, my friend, I wonder what interrupted your transmission.
What's the matter?
Shh! That sound.
It's just the ride, the workings, whatever.
No! Something's following us. Listen! They're ahead of us as well. We're surrounded.
Come on. You're spooking me now.
We'd better keep moving. You still got the gun?
Yeah.
Good. I think we might need it.
Greetings, Doctor.
You? The toy maker?
I'm gratified that you still remember me.
Wouldn't opening the door have been easier than magicking the whole wall away with one of your parlour tricks?
Ow! As you've just discovered, Doctor, the wall is still very much there. I have merely rendered it invisible. Forgive these tedious formalities, but I feared your impetuous nature might bring us both to regrettable harm without some form of restraint.
Brevity is the soul of wit.
So I believe, but I've been waiting so long for this meeting. I've had plenty of time to make up 5 words where one would do.
And this is another of your absurd games, is it?
No, not absurd. I do have plenty of those, but this one is in deadly earnest. I should have liked to invite your charming companion to join us in the same fashion as yourself, but I was relying on Miss Perry to collect a young gentleman on her way in, which I'm delighted to say she has done, in her own fashion.
If you've harmed her...
What, Doctor?
Then you and I shall fall out.
I assure you, my dear Doctor, that she is in perfect health, as is the young man. Over the past few weeks, I have tried several inducements to persuade him to accept my hospitality, but nothing would tempt him until Miss Perry came along. They'll make a very good team.
Oh, stop this nonsense, Toymaker. They're not interested in playing any of your games, and neither am I.
But you haven't even started yet. And how could you, with no one to play with?
And who is to be my opponent, You, I suppose.
Why, no, Doctor. Your neighbour with whom you've been so eagerly attempting to communicate. Let me introduce you.
Oh dear. What a big claw you have.
Winner takes all, Doctor.
Wait! No, there's no need for this. I'm not your enemy. Wait! Just a moment. That's it. Remember me now, don't you? Oh, you can talk your way out of anything.
You are not displeased by the Doctor's actions, Lord?
Quite the reverse, Stefan. For one dreadful moment I thought it was going to lose at the very beginning. That wouldn't do, would it? Bring him to me after you've secured the mechanic.
Yes, Lord.
Doesn't this damn ride ever end?
You certainly get your money's worth.
Oh, stop a moment. We need to think. There must be a service hatch or something.
How do you think we got in here?
Well, then maybe that's the way to get out.
What do you think I've been looking for the past half a mile?
Well, we can't just keep... Ow!
Whoa! Who's throwing them? Whoa! Where are they coming from?
It's the miners! The mechanical dummies! They're coming alive! Look out! Ow! Kevin! Come on! Kevin! Oh, they're coming! You're too heavy for me to carry! Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry!
What? Harry? Oh, no. No, get away! No! Ah!
The doctor, Lord.
Thank you, Stefan. And the youth?
Being taken to the cells now, Lord.
Very well.
But the girl?
I am dealing with the girl.
Yes, Lord.
Toymaker.
Oh, don't worry, Doctor. She's quite safe for the moment.
I don't believe you consider safe to be an absolute term.
Everything is relative, is it not?
Depends on your standpoint. Or rather, where you're standing.
Lord, allow me to instruct this insolent gypsy.
Does your myrmidon have to be here? I mean, can't you get him back to his kennel?
Lord!
Calm yourself, Stefan. The doctor is playing his own game with you. But perhaps it would be best if we were left alone to talk. I'll come to no harm.
As you instruct, Lord.
I had hoped that listening to a Time Lord's wisdom might advance dear Stefan's education.
You left it a little late for that. And even I need some basic intelligence to work with.
Well, Stefan's intelligence is very basic indeed.
And not a moral scruple in his body. Yes, the prime requisites for the universal henchman.
Not at all, Doctor. If that were true, I could have half the human race in my employ. Loyalty and complete obedience. Those are far rarer qualities.
Oh, nonsense! You can find them in abundance in any penal colony, on any planet, anywhere in the universe. A universe, sadly, full of madmen and their lackeys.
Your manners, Doctor, do not appear to have improved with time. I invite you and your travelling companion here to a few innocent games.
Oh, since when has there ever been anything innocent about your games?
And you do nothing but rail against the qualities of my poor servants. Hardly the behaviour of a true sportsman.
None of your pastimes qualify as sports. And the activities in the Roman Colosseum were also called games, as I recall.
The similarities have not escaped me.
I'm sure they haven't. Well, I don't like your version any better than I like theirs. In fact, I don't like you, Toymaker. And I don't like the vacuous way you wander through the universe, treating every intelligent species you meet like counters on a board. But Roman Colosseum? How long have you been here?
Oh, not long. Fascinating world, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Your favourite, by all accounts.
Yes. Is that why you came here?
The ingenuity of the locals is really quite remarkable.
Is that why you came here?
And they do so love playing games. All sorts of games.
Have you come here for me?
My dear Doctor, the last time we met, you were victim of your own intellectual conceit, which now seems to have developed into a full-blown paranoia. At one time, it's true, I held a passing interest in your peregrinations through time and space. But the idea that I should squat on this amusing but depressingly backward planet, waiting for you to drop in, is egocentric in the extreme.
You set up the space-time vortex.
Doctor, I am the space-time vortex.
What do you want with me?
You know perfectly well.
How often do I have to win before you give up?
Ooh, lots.
No more games. I refuse.
One more, Doctor. We'll call that the decider, shall we?
A decider implies the scores are even. They're not. I'm ahead. Let's just call it the last shall we?
So you accept the challenge then? The ultimate game you will play? Good.
I'm John Ainsworth, and I have adapted The Nightmare Fair for the Lost Stories series for Big Finish.
And I'm David Richardson, I'm the producer of the Lost Stories.
Okay, let's have a read through when you're ready. Very good.
The Lost Stories is something I'd always wanted to do, even from the day I'd stepped through the door of Big Finish. But of course, I didn't actually tell people that straight away, else they might have wondered what they'd employed. I'd kind of felt hard done by, probably like a lot of Doctor Who fans back in the 1980s, that the original season 23 never saw the light of day. And I think that stayed with me for years, actually. I mean, I've always known about these scripts, and it just seemed a really good idea that we do them at Big Finish and adapt them for audio. I mentioned it a few times to Jason Haig-Ellery and Nick Briggs over the time since I've been working there, and they were keen. They didn't initially bite at the idea, but they were keen, and as we progressed, we'd done the Doctor Who stage plays as adaptations and had such a warm response to those that I remember we had a meeting at a restaurant in central London one evening, and it was whilst we were sitting there having our starter that Jason said to me, your idea about the Lost Stories, yeah, let's do it. And yeah, it was a great moment just to know that we could actually from there progress and start tracking down these scripts, and from there it was several months of work.
This is perfection. This is genius. This is classic frivolity.
It's okay, I suppose, if you like that sort of thing.
Okay. Show you okay. Come on, we haven't a moment to lose.
The original author, or the author, Graham Williams, died quite a few years ago. So we got permission from his family that it was okay for us to adapt the script for audio, and David Richardson, the producer, asked me to do the job.
I'm Jackie Williams, Graham's wife.
I'm Dave Williams, his youngest son.
This particular script wasn't produced at the time because I think it was Michael Gray took over and cancelled Doctor Who. So we didn't ever think it would be produced, and so it would be wonderful for Graham to see it today. And I'm sure he'd have been sitting in the control room there chuckling away at some of the jokes. And it's been a real good experience for us.
Without a shadow of a doubt, yeah, definitely.
Never!
Sinister laugh.
What? I thought I turned into the toy maker.
I enjoyed adapting the script immensely, actually. It's very exciting. It's nice to actually have something there in front of you rather than a blank page. So the story was there, and my job really was just to communicate it as clearly as possible without changing any more than I needed to. One of the things that was quite nice, that I found quite encouraging in a way, again about the novelisation, is that there would be sequences that were mostly visual, or would have been mostly visual, and I obviously had to put in some extra dialogue to describe what was happening. And then I would go and look at the same sequences in the novelisation, and Graham Williams must also have realised that he didn't want just huge tracts of descriptive prose, and had given dialogue to the characters as well. And more often than not, it was more or less the same dialogue that I had just given them as well. And I sort of thought that was quite a sort of indication that I was thinking along the same lines, if that made sense.
It's the miners! The mechanical dummies! They're coming alive! Look out!
I mean, I was barely born when it was written, and until we were asked to come and see this recording happening, I wasn't even aware that it was a script at any point. I thought it was a book that was yellowed on the shelves that had been written, and I read it as the book when I was about 10 years old, and I remember feeling very fondly about the fact that, you know, my dad had just... I knew he'd worked on Doctor Who. He'd made a lot of these programmes. My favourite's City of Death, which he wrote with Douglas Adams. I'm not sure if he wrote it with him, but it's the one he made with him that really sticks out for me. And yeah, the feeling of it actually being a script that was written and never got made, I didn't even realise that had happened. So when obviously you find out these things, it's really nice to now come and see it being made and being done, and for fans as well. I think, I mean, he was a massive Doctor Who fan, and I think he'd be really pleased that other people get to share in it as well, especially seeing as it's had such a massive resurgence. I don't think Dad would be at all disappointed with it. I think he'd be really, really, really happy. I mean, I'm loving sitting in there listening to it being recorded. I think it's definitely coming alive for me as I hear it being performed.
A space-time vortex, you said?
Yes.
So strong it could only be at the centre of the danger zone, you said.
It had all the appearances.
The nexus of the primeval cauldron of space-time itself were the exact words you used.
That's a very apt turn of phrase.
For this?
Perhaps just a little florid.
Hello, I'm Colin Baker. I once played the Sixth Doctor on television, and I'm still playing him on audio for Big Finish.
I promised you a real holiday, and here we are. I thought you'd like it.
I do.
This particular script I did actually see, but as it's 25 years ago, my memory of it is somewhat sketchy. I read it once on an aeroplane coming back from America. The producer gave it to me to read, and I was looking forward to doing it, I recall. I can't see how it's changed. I can't remember what it was like before, but it works perfectly as an audio script, so I know that the hand of John Ainsworth, the director, who is a genius at doing radio plays and adapting stuff for radio, is clearly there, but it's seamless. So, like all the Big Finish audios, it works as what it is. I mean, the knack when you're adapting something from a TV script is not to put in things like, oh, look, he's climbing up the wall, those kind of clunky things, but to find a way of saying the same thing without saying it. And I can't see any points in this script where that has been done, so he must have done it well.
You did it again.
Did what?
Called my name.
I did no such thing.
What?
Doctor.
Hello, I'm Nicola Bryant, and I play Perry. It was the only story that I'd actually seen from the new season, and I was aware that Michael Gough had been cast in the part, and I was really looking forward to it. I thought it would be a great thing to do. So it was really disappointing when it was all cancelled, and very exciting to be capturing it now.
It is certainly true to say that when the Sixth Doctor was on TV, he was probably had more of an abrasive character than probably we've pursued at Big Finish. I mean, Colin's very keen to make the Doctor a warmer character than perhaps he was written for on television. And I did, going into this, I did brief the writers that we were maybe adapting it more towards a Big Finish way of presenting the Doctor. So we weren't going to go backwards in terms of the Doctor's character. We had moved him forward in the audios, and I think that's where we had to bring these up to.
Oh, this is no place for gloomy thoughts. Onwards!
Yes, Doctor.
I was a little bit worried about Perry, because I suppose scripts that are written for Big Finish, that we've commissioned, new ones, do tend to make more of the companions, you know, give them more to do, and make them more rounded characters. So I was a little bit worried that it might seem that Perry was just back to running down corridors and being trapped in a prison cell and asking the Doctor what's going on. But I don't think it came across like that. I mean, you know, I think there was enough sort of character stuff there. And again, most of which was there originally, not stuff that I've had to put in, really.
We've got a good idea what's waiting for us at the end of either of those tunnels and back there, so why not take a chance through here?
I can think of 100 good reasons. Doesn't look like it's been open for years. It's probably rusted shut. Wrong again, Perry.
After you, Perry.
The thing I've really noticed, certainly in the scripts we've done at the beginning of this run of Lost Stories, is that Nicola's character Perry is much more reactive than we'd normally have her in a Big Finish story. She's been there mainly to serve the plot, or to listen to the Doctor's explanations, or to comment on what's going on around her. And that has been a little bit of a shock, actually, and I'm sure, and I think Nicola has found perhaps that a bit harder to approach, having in recent years done Perry as a more proactive character.
Well, there's perhaps a hint of it, and I do very much try and place it in the timeline as to what had happened to Perry at this point and what hadn't. So most of my Colin adventures don't exist at all, so I'm still sort of dealing with a relatively new Doctor, and I'm still worried about him. How is he doing, you know? Because he had such a traumatic regeneration. So there's an element of that, and their relationship is perhaps a little bit more tentative. But I'm trying to sort of go, right, okay, so I think these particular characters might be androids because I've come across androids in Caves of Androzani. So I'm sort of placing all of my references in my timeline as Perry, which is great fun to do as well.
As we go through the Lost Stories, I think you'll find that Perry actually does become more proactive.
Before David asked me to be involved in the Lost Stories, I certainly was aware there were lost scripts, but I wasn't aware there were so many, and in fact I've been asked to direct another 3 of these, of which I'd never heard the titles before.
I was aware of Nightmare Fair because I'd seen it. I had heard of Mission to Magnus, and I knew there was a story which was written to be with the Autons that was going to be filmed in, I think, Singapore. Because I do remember that John Nathan Turner was delighted because he was negotiating with the Minister of the Interior at Singapore, whose name was Doctor Who, H-U, and he was a doctor of philosophy or something. But the idea of negotiating with Doctor Who to do Doctor Who tickled his fancy, and he told me about it. Those are the only 3 stories I remember hearing about.
It was a huge treasure hunt. I mean, starting with the scripts that we knew existed, I knew about The Nightmare Fair, obviously, and Mission to Magnus, and The Ultimate Evil. And those were the 3 that we first started with. For The Nightmare Fair, I tracked down Jackie Williams and pretty much rang her up out of the blue and just suggested the idea of doing this. And I don't think she'd ever even heard of The Nightmare Fair. I don't think she knew of its existence. So I had to send her a copy of the script that actually I'd managed to obtain, and she read it, and she came back to me and said she was very happy to proceed. And John Ainsworth then stepped forward and said that he'd like to do the adaptation because he was directing it. In terms of Mission to Magnus, Philip Martin had already worked for Big Finish, so it was quite easy just to take his phone number from the records and call him up. And I pretty much had the same response from him that I did from a lot of the other people that I subsequently contacted, which was they felt that it was unfinished business, and the script had been sitting up in their loft for years, really not having been looked at, and the idea of actually bringing it back was just something they found absolutely thrilling. So it was, there's a general sense of enthusiasm from all parties.
But I've been waiting so long for this meeting. I've had plenty of time to make up 5 words where 1 would do.
3 of the stories had existed as books, but I think doing them on audio with the original cast just adds something more. It gives you more of a window into how it would have been on television. So, and I think that's why there's been such a strong response to it, that people will be able to take these and just imagine what would have been on screen, and you're creating the pictures for yourself, but everything else is there. As well as Mission to Magnus and The Nightmare Fair, there was one other story that was novelised, which was The Ultimate Evil. And that too was a production that we wanted to make, but unfortunately we weren't able to reach agreement with Wally K. Daly over that. So although we'd hoped to make it, ultimately we weren't able to.
Greetings, Doctor.
You? The toy maker?
I'm gratified that you still remember me.
We certainly did spend a lot of time thinking about who could play the toy maker. I know John and I were bouncing ideas around between each other by email. One of the things I was quite keen not to do was to have a starry name in the role. I've kind of felt if we brought somebody who was really recognisable from TV or films or whatever, they would bring a little baggage with them, and they would really overwhelm the part of the toy maker himself, because he's kind of a bit of a subtle villain. He's not an out and out evil baddie. He's kind of more playful and subtle at times. I know, certainly from my point of view, I sat down and just tried to think who had played great villains in Doctor Who. I looked back through the entire original 26-year history of the show.
We eventually asked David Bailey, who played Dask in The Robots of Death, and has just such a lovely voice, and we felt had some of the same sort of qualities as Michael Gough, that sort of coldness and remoteness. But we certainly didn't ask David to do an impersonation of Michael Gough. He was aware that it had been played before, but we didn't show him the video or anything like that. I made it very clear to them that I didn't want him to do an impersonation, but I might occasionally give him directing notes that just perhaps pulled it back into, to make sure it was consistent and believably the same character. But having said that, there's a lot of things in The Nightmare Fair that the Toymaker does that are quite different than he does in Celestial Toymaker. So it does take the character into different areas anyway, so there needed to be that sort of room for David to do what he wanted with the character, and he did a great job.
Hello, I'm David Bailey. I'm playing the Celestial Toymaker. I invite you and your travelling companion here to a few innocent games.
Oh, since when has there ever been anything innocent about your games?
And you do nothing but rail against the qualities of my poor servants. I spoke to the director, and I asked for tips, if he had any ideas about what I should be doing, and he mentioned Michael Gough, and I said, well, I haven't mentioned Michael Gough, and I feel you might find, I said to him, that I've gone in completely the opposite direction, and I've extrapolated the fact that he's a toy maker and turned that round into him being actually very childish and full of glee and, like a child, mood swings, and that you couldn't trust this guy further than you could throw him, because he's never on the same planet planet in his head for more than a couple of lines, yeah. So you accept the challenge, then? The ultimate game you will play? Good.
David and I certainly talked about the character beforehand, before coming to the studio, and David had done a lot of work on the script, actually. Every actor does work on it, but he'd given a great deal of thought about it, and we wanted to have that same sort of coldness and remoteness some of the time, but even sort of boredom. The Toymaker, they make a lot's made in this script that he's been alive for a very, very, very long time, and he's so easily bored, and the reason he is the Toymaker and plays these games is just to sort of amuse him and keep him occupied. And that's where David came up with the idea if he wanted him to be quite sort of have a childlike enthusiasm for these games, and we talked about, and I suggested as well as that enthusiasm, like a child, you get very quickly get bored with something, or the game isn't quite as exciting as you hoped it for, so you then look for the more exciting game. So David was he used this expression, moments of glee, where he gets absolutely sort of childishly excited, and that people are playing these games. Of course, people end up dead in these games.
I am the space-time vortex. What do you want with me?
Oh, he's very good. Obviously Michael Gough is the one we all remember from that, but I gather Michael's in his 90s now, so we had to find somebody who was, a more credible toy maker of now, and David Bailey's perfect. He's spot on. If you shut your eyes, you can see that figure, that imperious figure.
Oh, stop this nonsense, Toymaker. They're not interested in playing any of your games, and neither am I.
But you haven't even started yet. And how could you, with no one to play with?
And who is to be my opponent?
I love those. I always use the example of Sherlock Holmes and Professor Moriarty. You know, the juxtaposition of equals in the battle. It's not quite the same with a race like the Cybermen or the Daleks or the Sontarans, because no individual Dalek or Cyberman or Sontaran is a match of the Doctor. It's the totality of, you know, each particular group. Whereas with the Master or the Rani, or in this case the Celestial Toymaker, and there have been other ones like the Meddling Monk and all those characters from the Doctor's history, which I find the most challenging. And I think, despite the fact that he is determined to beat them and professes to abominate them, I think the Doctor quite likes the challenge of a one-to-one combat. And the Celestial Toymaker is such a wonderful idea. You know, this being who's outside time and space, who can't resist testing and playing games and pushing the boundaries, and the Doctor has to combat him and beats him every time.
I think it's a lot to do with the mystery, actually, which is to some extent answered in The Nightmare Fair. But certainly in Celestial Toymaker, you don't really know who he is, where he came from. He's not a Time Lord, or is he? And clearly has these sort of magical powers, and a presence. I mean, I suppose that's down to Michael Gough originally. That, you know, this presence that seemed to be equal to the Doctor's. You know, he was. I think any good Doctor Who villain is someone who seems you can credibly believe could possibly beat the Doctor, and not someone that the Doctor's just going to wipe the floor with. And the Toymaker keeps the Doctor guessing, and that carries on in Nightmare Fair as well, which is nice. So I think it's a villain that people have always seen there were more possibilities with, that you could bring it back and develop it, which I think is exactly what Nightmare Fair does.
Doctor!
Well, don't worry, Perry. I'll see you at the other end.
I think the reason for doing the Lost Stories was that, I mean, it's not really an original idea. I know we've had lots of people writing into Big Finish over a number of years saying, why didn't we do them? They're something that a lot of fans wanted to see, but they've never seen the light of day. And I just agreed with that sentiment, really. I felt for years that there should have been some way to actually make them, and audio just seemed a natural home for them, seeing as we were doing them at Big Finish. It was really the fact that we'd done the adaptations of the Doctor Who stage plays that moved us forward to the point where we do the Lost Stories. I think it proved that we were comfortable doing non-original material amongst our output at Big Finish. And the reaction to the stage plays was so strong that clearly there was a market for doing the Lost Stories. I mean, certainly it's early days, but so far the response we've had to the idea has been phenomenal.
I'm happy to be doing this. I mean, I think I'm not sure what all the stories are going to be like. I'm sort of approaching them quite tentatively because, of course, they were written for 1983, and I've got very used to this very high standard of writing for Big Finish, and so I'm hoping that all of them are going to live up to that standard of narration that we're used to.
I mean, it's what the fans want, the fans of the old, the classic series, because it's a kind of gap in the canon, and to have them done in some form, and I'm delighted the BBC allowed them to be done, and I think the majority of the authors have been pleased to have the adaptations done, sometimes by them, sometimes by other people. So I'm looking forward to doing them all, really.
Ah, there you are. It's so good to see you, Doctor. I have been waiting for you for such a very, very long time.
I think there's a lovely sense of warmth and loyalty coming from both the production team and from the actors who are working on this.
And, I mean, obviously it's just a shame that he can't be here to see it himself, but it's certainly something that I think he would have been very proud of.
What do you want with me?
You know perfectly well
How often do I have to win before you give up?
Ooh, lots.
No more games. I refuse.
One more, Doctor. We'll call that the decider, shall we?
A decider implies the scores are even. They're not. I'm ahead. Let's just call it the last, shall we?
So you accept the challenge, then? The ultimate game. You will play. Good.
Yes, I will play your game, Toymaker. But not yet. Not at all, unless... Until I see Perry safe and sound. In the flesh. Where is she?
Close to hand, I assure you, and having the time of her life.
I warned you, Toymaker.
I will not harm her.
Not you, nor any of your servants.
Ooh, absolutely.
Hello? Is someone there?
Perry?
Kevin! I thought you were one of the miners. Are you all right?
I was going to ask you the same thing.
How on earth did you get away?
I just played dead until they went away. If they're all that thick, then we have no problems.
Well, they haven't seemed especially thick to me so far. Anyone who can build androids like them isn't thick at all. Did you know they were all androids?
What else would they be? Why?
Oh, just not something you come across every day in off-season Blackpool.
I think I found a way out.
At last! Are you sure you're all right?
One of them rocks caught me a clout, that's all. Go on, you lead the way. Up there by the log cabin.
Okay. The sooner we get out of here, the better.
Ah, home, sweet home. I noticed you had to open the door with an old-fashioned key. No magic for you, then.
Just get inside.
I see there's been a new addition in my absence. What's this monstrosity, then?
It is that upon which you will play your last game with my master.
Was that all?
It will suffice.
Will it indeed? Does room service extend to some dinner? What? Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. Who are you?
Where now?
To the left.
It's all gone very quiet in here.
They've all knocked off.
Just like that? The miners haven't knocked off, surely.
Waiting for the night shift to come on, eh?
Oh, I don't like it. Not one little bit.
Well, come on, let's get out of here.
What?
I said let's get out of here.
Yes. Let's do that.
And then the ruddy miners, or whatever they are, started hurling ruddy great rocks at us. And here I am. Look. What are you doing?
Keep going.
What? Oh.
Go on.
Right. Well, when I came to, it couldn't have been long. I was being carried by these two laddies. Big, heavy blokes they were, with boiler suits on. They seem to use them as guards around here, but why they can't have decent set of clothes beats me. I mean, not many boilermakers carry guns, do they? Not where I come from, any road. Be a strike if they did, you can bet on it.
All right, you can stop now.
I was just getting to the interesting part.
Really? Well, that should do the trick.
Oh, good. I'd hate to think it were all for nothing. What is it?
That? Oh, it's just a simple 3-channel laser image loop on continuous feedback with a quasi-random selector built into the second output control. I think.
What does it do?
Like all cameras, it lies. It's sending back a picture of you sitting on the bed talking interminably. But in its picture, I'm also sitting next to you.
Sort of fascinated, like?
Sort of.
I can understand that, but why is that thing watching us anyway? I mean, this isn't your average building society or bookies, is it? I bet hardly anyone tries to knock over a joint like this.
I believe it's meant to ensure that no one gets out, rather than that the wrong people don't get in.
I know it'll take a long time, like, but whoever's watching that picture you fixed is going to smell a rat after the first couple of days or so.
The gentleman who's watching us is, I hope, going to be far too distracted by whichever game he's playing with Perry.
What?
No, don't worry, that's all he does. Play games. Calls himself the Celestial Toymaker.
Variety act, is he?
It's not a bad description.
And just who are you, his agent?
Heaven forbid!
So what then?
My dear chap, you'd be none the wiser if I told you. And it would take an awfully long time. Let's just accept things as they are, shall we, and try and get out of here. Now, empty your pockets on the bed.
The time lapse for visual response in the second phase will not be sufficient.
Exactly, Lord.
What solution do you propose?
I believe we should increase the diameter of the carrier here, Lord, by not less than 40 microns. That would solve the problem.
Excellent, Yatsumoto. Most ingenious. Thank you. Let California know the change in specification immediately, will you?
Immediately, Lord.
No transducers?
No.
Fuse wire?
It's just not the sort of stuff I carry around with me, even if I knew what half of it was.
Oh, look what you do carry around with you. Honestly, young people today. When I was your age, I had enough stuff in my pockets to build a hollow field scrambler in 5 minutes flat. And often did.
Why haven't you got what you need now, then?
Oh, one matures. Now, this video game thing... Yeah. Can you get the back off it for me?
Give me 2 minutes.
California have implemented the new specification, Lord.
Excellent. When will production commence?
There will be no change to the schedule, Lord, within the month.
Have arrangements been made for the technicians to travel to America?
They leave tonight, Lord, with your permission.
Data correlation must be complete in 2 weeks, then.
Yes, Lord. We foresee no difficulties.
We could even incorporate the results from the Time Lord.
And the game's appeal would be truly universal, Lord.
It can't be much further now.
How's your arm?
Fine. Why shouldn't it be?
Well, the ricochet when we escaped. It was bleeding, remember?
Oh, that. Yeah. No, it's fine now.
Right.
We should keep going.
Yeah. After you.
No. The doors do not exist. Or not our cell door, anyway.
Then why does it hurt when I hit it?
Well, because it's solid, of course. What do you expect to feel when you hit a solid object? Warm all over?
If it's not real, how come it's there?
Well, because it is. Can't you trust the evidence of your own eyes? Or are you one of those fellows who has to go around hitting things all the time? Knew a chap like that once. In Paris.
It doesn't exist, but it's real. It's not there, but it's solid.
At last I detect a glimmer of understanding. It's a simple hollow field, a hologram. A picture made up of diffracted light, but with enough energy to give it the appearance and physical attributes of solid material. Honestly, it's just like talking to primitives. Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
My apologies for the victuals, sirs. Cook was expecting you much earlier and does not, alas, reside in the house.
Who are you?
My name is Shardlow, sir.
What do you do here, Shardlow?
I am a servant here, as are we all, in our way.
Why? Why'd you stay here with that lunatic?
Is there a choice, young sir?
What game did you lose, Shardlow?
Why, backgammon, sir. At the Hellfire Club it was. A losing hazard.
And when was this?
Why, a beautiful summer's evening, sir. The July of 78.
1778.
Yes, sir.
That's over 200 years ago.
Is it, master? Is it indeed?
I must confess, it has seemed sometimes such a very long time. I will return, good sirs, in a quarter of an hour with the fish course. We do not keep such a fine table these days as once we did.
Times change, Shardlow.
Do they, sir? Do they, indeed?
This place is nothing but a flaming asylum. I've never heard such a load of codswallop in all my born life.
What you've heard is the plain, unvarnished truth, I should think.
200-year-old geezers serving the grub.
More than 200 years. That's just the time he's been here. He was his natural age before that. Say, what, 60?
Oh, well, that makes a lot of difference, that does. Him being 260 instead of 200, that makes it a lot more credible, yeah.
That poor old man. The gift of immortality doesn't seem to please him that much, does it?
Immortality?
When you start counting your age in centuries, you can call that immortality, can't you? Unlike the rest of your race, you're going to quibble about definitions. Yes, that would be typical. To spend eternity defining immortality, that would really satisfy the human race's yearning for self-justification. Oh, that poor old man. Centuries of servitude for what? Losing a game. This time the toy maker has gone too far.
Excellent, excellent. The doctor does not approve of my actions, Stefan.
I will have him impaled, Lord. His ending will be a terrible lesson to all, echoing down the ages.
Oh, you are very harsh, Stefan. I should then find it even more difficult engaging the interests of competitors, shouldn't I? The old man served his purpose very well. The doctor's righteous indignation will raise the adrenaline level to a far more competitive stage. Now, the girl. We must hurry.
We must hurry.
Why?
Why?
I mean, why now especially? Okay. What was the deal?
What?
When you sold out, what was the deal? Your brother back? Was that it?
I don't understand.
Keep away from me!
The start of the game was most amusing, and I wish I could say you were a worthy opponent, but in truth, you'll need to practice for a long time. We shall have to see what we can do about that. Take her to your master. What are you making? It looks like a colander.
It isn't.
You could use that very nicely to strain broccoli, patent it, make a fortune. I'm very fond of a bit of broccoli, but it's the very devil to strain.
Unlike what passes for your brain.
But I reckon you're going to use it for something else.
Going to have to, old chap. No broccoli. Now, just a couple more adjustments.
The technicians await your pleasure, Lord.
Stefan, I have just discovered a new way to enjoy myself. Something I haven't experienced for a very long time.
I'm glad to hear of it, Lord.
You don't understand, Stefan. I have actually found a new distraction. Something I can develop. Something with almost boundless possibilities. Why, it could be even good for centuries. I cannot become another person. That is beyond even my capabilities. But I can pretend to be another person, to the point where even their dearest friend or closest relative would never know the difference. The possibilities for sport are positively enormous. I owe that young lady and her friend a great deal.
Lord, may I proceed with my game of backgammon? The old man.
Yes. After the trial run, if you wish.
Thank you, Lord.
But, Stefan, make sure you win, won't you?
Yes, Lord.
Yes. Are you sure you haven't got any transducers?
Won't it work without one?
Well, of course it won't work without one. How could it possibly work without one? Do you think I'd be sitting here twiddling my technically brilliant thumbs if it would work without one? Well, it might. It just might. Quick, hide this thing. Give it everything. Oh, you didn't last long. Quick adjustment, I need it.
What are you doing?
A security camera. Just putting you in the picture. There. Easier with practice.
What do you mean, didn't last long? I was nearly killed out there, and so was he. Both of him.
A copy?
What do you mean, both of me?
Well, not a physical copy. Well, it was. But then he just faded away.
Like the door?
He was not like a door.
Simple hologram, that's all.
Oh, really?
Solid, but not real, you know.
Oh, yeah. Sure, that's it.
Oh, let's just check, shall we?
Ow!
Seems real enough to me. But then you can never tell with holograms. That's the point, really, isn't it?
Here, just a minute. You think I'm a hologram?
Not anymore.
Does he do that to you?
Not anymore.
You've known each other far too long, haven't you?
Yes.
Long enough to give me a hand when I need it. Come over here and help me with this. Hold this for me. Oh, you are back, aren't you? Now look what you've made me do.
Lord, all is ready. We await only your command.
Excellent, Yatsumoto. You may switch on the machine.
Yes, Lord.
Beautiful. Beautiful. All is well.
The prototype performed perfectly, Lord.
You've tried it?
In its component parts, Honored Lord. There is no error.
But you haven't actually played the machine.
I understood that honor was to be reserved for your esteemed guest.
To the victor, the spoils, Yatsumoto. You shall be the first to play.
And who is this toy maker?
I don't know. Nobody knows. He existed before the start of Time Lord records. There was an attempt to trace his path through time, but the researchers got bored with all the games. As my colleagues do so often, they met something they didn't understand and ran away from it. If they'd been able to control him, they would have investigated further, I'm sure, but they couldn't. So they didn't.
A being the Time Lords couldn't handle?
Oh, there are lots of them. Time Lords generally aren't very good at handling things, especially themselves. I'm just the exception to the rule.
Right.
We do know he's telepathic, and we do know he's telekinetic. We know he can withstand the most violent natural forces. He was once observed playing with a supernova as though it were a paddling pool. And we know he's old, beyond imagining. Most of all, we know he likes games. And that's what I'm going to do something about.
You're going to beat him.
I'm going to run away from him and count myself very lucky if I do even that.
My apologies for the delay.
Oh, nonsense, my dear fellow. We were just remarking on the excellence of the service, weren't we, chaps?
Yeah.
If only the accommodation were in the same style, eh?
Alas, my lord has instructed you be kept close confined. Mistress, I took the liberty of bringing a portion for you also.
Thank you.
Both my lord and the Master Stefan are much engaged by the great work. They apologize for not giving you the attention they would wish. In a short time, however, they will be able to devote themselves entirely to you.
Thank you, Mr. Shardlow. I appreciate your concern.
Is there anyone else here like us? Younger than me. 4 years younger. Dark hair, suit, tall, name of Jeff Bickerstaff.
Why, yes, young sir. Master Bickerstaff. But he's not like you.
What? Is he all right?
Master Bickerstaff is an honoured guest of my lord, his trusted assistant in the great work.
Assistant?
Great work?
Why, mercy, yes. For what other purpose must we all serve? Not that I shall see the fruits of my labours. Master Stefan has called me to a game of backgammon, and I shall lose. Well, I always do lose, but I am promised that this is to be the last game. And I believe I owe you a great debt of thanks, noble sir.
Do you?
Oh, aye, yes, sir. Master Stefan said directly that now you had arrived to help our lord, the work would be soon completed, and thus my last game has come.
And what is the hazard this time, Shardlow?
Why, sir, what else does an old man have to wager?
Your life?
Of a certainty, mistress. And Master Stefan has always been one to call in a wager. For once, I cannot lose, for even in losing, I shall win my freedom. Is that not so?
Good fortune in any case, Shardlow. Give him a run for his money.
Thank you, sir. I believe I shall. Yes, tonight, I believe I shall.
Well done, Yatsumoto. Well done indeed. The machine is performing admirably. And who would have thought you would have made it thus far? Oh dear, another life lost. And you were doing so well. Only one life left.
That poor old man.
He'll be all right.
Depends what you mean by all right.
Well, they wouldn't hurt him, would they? Not over a stupid game.
If he loses, I shouldn't think he'll feel a thing. We'll just have to get there before the game's over, that's all. Give me a fork, would you?
Here you go.
A clean one?
Oh.
What did you train as? A plumber's mate?
Oh dear, Yatsumoto. You're out of ammunition.
Oh, that's it. I am sorry, my lord. I did my best. The game is over. But I've lost.
Lost? Yes. But the game is not quite over.
No. Lord! Stop it, Lord! I beg you! No! No! Help me, Lord! Keep it away from me! Save me!
But you lost, Yatsumoto. Lost. What a marvelous toy.
And... right. That should do it, I hope.
At last.
You still haven't told us what exactly it's going to do.
Well, as we explained earlier, the walls of this cell, like young Kevin's doppelganger, are holograms. This little device will disrupt the hollow field, rendering the wall between us and the corridor both invisible and insubstantial.
Allowing us to escape.
Precisely. Let's give it a go, shall we? Yeah. Aha! You see, the door and the wall just fade away.
That's not the only one. The wall between us and the next cell's going as well. There's some kind of monster.
Oh, don't worry about him.
No, Doctor! That wall's going as well! There's something behind that too. It looks like an android.
Not so sure about that one. Time to make a quick exit, I think. Come on! Go!
The wall's still there. It's just invisible.
No transducers, you see.
We can't get out. We're trapped with these things.
No, it's all right. There's no reason to suppose they want to hurt us.
I say, you sound to me like some sort of sentient thing.
Sort of, yes.
Oh, good show. Very good show. Getting a bit lonely down here, tell the truth. You know, lonely.
Yes, I know, lonely. What do you think I am, an unfeeling block?
Eh?
And I'm not a foreigner. You don't have to shout.
Oh, right. Yes. Sorry.
Oh, tourists.
Stefan, please remove Yatsumoto's remains.
Yes, Lord.
After tonight, I think we should move to our center of production. There really is too much distraction here, and it's possible that we may soon attract the attention of the local militia. America, in any case, will be the best place to watch the great game.
I will make the necessary arrangements. What of this creature, Lord?
Afraid, Stefan? You?
A man would be foolish to fight that which he cannot kill.
Very wise, Stefan. Like you, the creature is my servant. I gave it life, but can take it away just as easily. You need be afraid of nothing of which you are the master, Stefan.
No, Lord.
Sort of boffin bloke, are you?
Well, I'm not sort of anything. We haven't been introduced.
Oh, so sorry. One forgets the courtesies out here on the frontier. SB 5496/74, at your service, sir.
SB?
Yes.
Now, what does that stand for?
Stand for? Curious idea. Doesn't stand for anything. It's my name.
Oh. Well, I'm the Doctor, and this is Perry and Kevin.
Hi.
Hello. And this is... Well, I can't get my tongue round his name, all glottal stops and consonants, sort of Cockney Welsh. Terrible language.
Oh, we just call him Mechanic.
Very imaginative.
Why?
Turns out he's a Venusian. Well, they fix things all the time, everywhere. Anything from a washing machine to a starship engine. Well, they run half the space fleets in the galaxy. Or rather, they keep half the space fleets in the galaxy running. Mm-hmm. Well, there is a difference, is there not?
Oh, they fix things, all right. Charge the apogee for it, though.
Well, what do you expect? It's the only thing they can do.
Funny thing, evolution.
A fellow philosopher. How refreshing. Are you by any chance part of the Pan-Galactic Second Federation Force for Peace?
Third Federation, actually, old chap. Bit of a brouhaha with the second. Revolutionaries, fifth column. Loyal opposition, something along those lines, anyway. That's when the fourth front opened up, and that's when the old pins went too.
You're a scout, then?
Rather. Call ourselves Pathfinders now.
And you had a famous tradition, as I recall.
We always get our man. Yes, that's it. That's the old Pathfinder tradition. Never lost one yet.
The scouts are always followed by their base support teams. Anything happens to one of them, the battle group follows up and...
knocks 7 colours of I-Corps out of the opposition. Shoot first, ask questions after. Not that there's ever been anyone to question. Nothing but nuclear waste for parsecs. Good old Pathfinders.
And poor old Earth.
How much of you is actually original?
Left hand. Oh, and a bit of my right ear.
Our heroic friend here has been engaged in the most futile interplanetary war in modern history for about 180, 190 years now.
Had our bicentennial celebrations just before I left. Jolly good show, what?
But don't you mind?
Mind? Sorry, don't follow.
Having so little of the real you left.
Dulce et decorum est pro patria mori.
No, sorry.
It is sweet and becoming to die for one's country.
Oh, I say, that's beautiful. You feel that way too, do you? Damn good.
A gung-ho robot and a ravenous space plumber. We're going to make an unbeatable combination.
All is prepared, Lord.
Good. When the final phase is completed tonight, we shall have to reconsider our employment policy. Those who do not accompany us to America...
I beg you, do not concern yourself with the details, Lord. Their contracts of employment will be properly terminated.
Excellent, Stefan. I knew I could rely on your discretion.
Always, Lord.
Go now. Anticipation might be half the pleasure, but I have waited long enough. Bring the doctor to me. We shall play a game, he and I.
Yeah. Well, it's not as though the toy maker is short on resources. No need for him to save building costs, so why build a high-tech barrier system when bricks and mortar would do? Because that's what he knows. And that's what he can control the easiest.
You said he's telepathic.
And something else.
Telekinetic.
Yeah, that's right.
So, the other Kevin was made up from his mind?
Well, it could have been. And the door to this cell undoubtedly is. But the inconvenience of having to sustain the mental effort bored him. He made it a simple electromechanical device which he could switch on and off with a flick of his mind.
If he's telepathic, he can hear everything we're thinking.
Well, only if he's listening all the time. Well, think of it yourself. If you could receive every thought of every person within, say, 5 miles? You'd go mad. You'd have to discipline your mind absolutely to filter out the thoughts you don't want to hear. And you'd have to be able to turn them off altogether if you wanted to do some thinking yourself. Now, I'm gambling that the toy maker's great work is of much more interest to him than anything we might be chatting about down here, particularly what we have been chatting about down here.
But we're still stuck here. Your machine got rid of every wall apart from the one to the corridor.
Now that we've joined forces with our new friends here, escape is no longer our priority. Now, I've been talking with the mechanic, and he's going to adapt my little creation for a rather different purpose. He'll need a hand, though. Rather literally, I'm afraid. That's where you come in, SB.
Oh, always happy to oblige, old chap. Just say the word.
Doctor, we have company.
Your time has come, Doctor. My lord requests your presence.
Ready to come out and play, are we? Perry, when you want me, just give me a yell, will you? Just give me a yell.
Okay. Whatever you say. Doctor?
See you later. I understand you play backgammon.
A little.
We must have a game sometime.
But there is no more time, Doctor. Not for you. Besides, I've played once tonight already.
Have you? Have you indeed?
The Doctor, my lord.
Doctor, good of you to come.
Your choice, Toymaker, not mine.
Please, sit.
Thank you. Oh, I do admire your taste in furnishings, I must say, but don't you think that tapestry's a bit too recherché? I mean, I'm very flattered and all, but I did make it in a hurry, and the Hansen original was awfully grubby by the time it reached me.
During one of your meddlings, I take it?
Not mine. As I recall, the British fleet was busy shelling the city at the time. They were the ones doing the meddling.
The Opium Wars?
Yes. Right up your street, all that, wasn't it?
I wasn't there.
No, or I'm sure we would have met. With your interest in matters Eastern, the downfall of the Chinese Empire was a foregone conclusion.
You do me too much honour.
No, I don't mean to. Well, after all, you lost, didn't you? It would have suited you far more to keep the corrupt empire going for another couple of 1,000 years. Lots of room for games in Imperial China.
Lots of rooms for games anywhere on the planet, Doctor. As you and I have remarked, the human race is a very ingenious little species.
They can be more ingenious if they're pointed in the right direction.
Oh, very patronising.
Well, that's another difference between you and me, Toymaker. I'd sooner patronise them than butcher them.
I am yet again astonished that with such differences between us, we can still enjoy the odd game together.
I don't enjoy them, odd or not. I play them because you force me to.
And you're confident of winning again this time, are you, Doctor?
Why not? You can't have got any better.
Whilst you've had plenty of practice.
As much as I wanted.
Good. We shall see if you are sufficiently prepared.
Why did you come here, Toymaker? Well, the natives are ingenious, certainly, but no more here than a dozen other places I could name in this galaxy alone.
But it's not just ingenuity, Doctor. The local inhabitants have an obsessive interest for games rivaling my own. In one of their greatest wars, one that involved the whole planet, they stopped fighting one day and played games together. Between a barbed wire, can you imagine? There's a tribe to the east who, until very recently, played a game using their fallen enemies' heads as a ball. My little pranks pale in comparison.
There are madmen and cruel children in every society.
But not at every level of that society. No, sometimes I think this world was made for me.
He can tap all he likes. I don't know what he wants.
I don't understand how we're supposed to give him a hand if... Here, steady on. Do mind. That's my second best arm.
That's it.
Eh?
That's what he wants.
A bit early for lunch, old girl.
Look, he can't very well build anything with that claw of his, can he? If he's a mechanic, he must have a whole range of tools. How does he hold them? Look, there are all sorts of sockets and grooves and...
Oh, yeah. Isn't evolution something?
That's what I said. Sort of. Well, all right. Just give the old arm a couple of turns.
Okay.
Wrong way, old chap.
All right. What do you think I am? A neurosurgeon or something? There.
I guess we just plug it into one of these sockets on the mechanic's claw.
Looks like he agrees. Here you go.
Actually, the trigger finger on that one's a bit stiff. You don't think he'd give it a bit of a tweak while he's at it, do you?
You ask him.
The vortex isn't running now, is it?
It fluctuates.
But you can intensify it?
On occasion.
Doesn't affect Stefan.
Doesn't it?
Nor any of the other people around you.
Like a child fishing in a pond.
I must say, you seem to hang on to your star for an impressive length of time. Well, 200 years for poor old Chartler, wasn't it?
I really couldn't say.
And how long has young Stefan been with you?
Stefan was my first and my best recruit. We had a game of dice, didn't we, Stefan? In Constantinople.
We did, Lord. Never was I so pleased to lose a game of dice. I was with Barbarossa, the army of the Third Great Crusade against the Turk.
Oh, the Third Crusade. One long bloodbath. You killed more of each other than any enemy. One of the most savage and barbaric forces in history.
We took what we wanted. We bowed our heads to our feudal lord only, to no other man of this world or any other.
You wagered a Greek family, didn't you? They were Greek, weren't they?
They were, Lord. Strong and good workers too, given the right treatment.
Whatever became of them?
You sold them, Lord.
I suppose I did. What else would one do with a Greek family? Oh, it's a long time ago.
800 years.
Does it seem a long time to wait, Doctor, for a game? I've been waiting a lot longer than that.
Time, as someone once said, is relative.
Come, Doctor. Pleasant though this little chat is, we should move to a resolution on the main event, should we not?
I simply refuse to play. What would you do then? Lock me away forever?
Something like that, Doctor. And whilst you were locked away, Stefan here would have no end of amusing games with your two companions. The young lady first, I imagine.
Well, what are we waiting for? Time's a-wasting.
And we mustn't waste time, must we, Doctor?
Looks like he's making a better job of it than the doctor did.
Don't let the doctor hear you say that.
Back home, they've built an entire race of robots to do all the messy work. And funny thing is, those robots make the most marvellous after-dinner speakers. Had one in our mess one time. Jolly good, I must say. Don't know how they do it.
Do what?
Well, you know, sort of Teach them how to do that. Speak well, crack the odd funny, you know. I mean, look at mechanic chap here. You wouldn't think he'd know where to start, would you?
No, you wouldn't, would you?
Wonder how the doctor's getting on.
So, this is your challenge, is it? Your so-called ultimate game?
It meets with your approval, I trust.
Fine. Well, I prefer the classic simplicity of Space Invaders myself. I mean, they were good for what? A good 10 or 15 seconds before they got boring.
I shall try to ensure that you are not bored, Doctor.
I'm sure.
There is only one rule.
Win. Yes, I know. What's the high score? 125,550? Who made that?
I did. With some coaching from the other master Bickerstaff. A true genius at this particular entertainment.
Last player, 2,550.
Are you ready?
Not quite.
Good. Then let us begin.
No, now, this must be left, and this is right. Yeah.
Oops. Sounds like a problem. Perhaps he's run out of parts.
I'll bet it's the transducers again.
Ah, transducers, is it? I had my own replaced only the other century. Take a look. They're the latest model. I'm dashed proud of them.
Hey!
What's it doing? Oi, you can't just help yourself to someone else's transducers. You might need them.
Honestly, doesn't hurt a bit. All in a good cause, I'm sure. I remember a terrific scrap off Vega 5. Both arms, both legs, and half my head missing. Then a lump of atomic shrapnel split my ship stem to stern, caught me across the chest. They did a marvellous job of me after that. Latest everything. Wonderful thing, medicine.
Yes. Oh, very well paced, Toymaker. Almost enjoyable. Obviously a lot of research in this.
Years and years.
At the funfair, I suppose. All those bumps on grab handles, pressure pads on the seats, whole place wired like an octopedal dishwasher. Random blood tests and medicals too, I shouldn't wonder.
I could hardly bring several million people here for tests, could I?
And you would have to test millions to get these results. Yes, I can quite see that. But why? I mean, you don't need the money, do you? No, I can't see you in debtor's prison. Worse luck. Well, they don't have those anymore, do they? Well, not here, anyway. Yes. Well, do I get my money back when I win?
So I said to the Sergeant Major, PF4963, I said, I know it's going to be hell, but I want that kite back in the air by 2700 hours. And you know what he said to me?
No.
He said, sir, he said, for you.
Hey, it's all right, old chap. I think the mechanic needs your speaker for something.
Looks like he's got his eye on you now.
Hey, I need all my bits and pieces myself.
Oh, quite ingenious. Didn't see that one coming.
Not your match, Doctor.
Hardly. Take more than a few lucky shots to...
Another life lost.
It's not over yet, Toymaker.
Any ideas what it's all for? Looks like maybe some kind of helmet.
Whatever it is, I hope we find out pretty soon. Ow!
Whoa!
Oh, no! You're not having my arm! Ow!
Oi!
No! Please! Ow!
125,000, Toymaker. Not far to go now.
But will you make it, Doctor? Your progress is slow. You are tiring.
There's something else here. Something behind all this.
Just one life left, Doctor.
One life left. Still one life. One! That's the answer. One. One alone. Huh? One. One alone. There's just you. No one like you, ever. This game, just one fighter, one enemy, one on his own. You're not from this universe, are you?
The game. You're not thinking about the game.
The high score, Lord. 131,000. The Doctor has beaten you.
You're not from this universe. That's why there's no trace. That's why the laws of this universe don't concern you. You're from another time and space.
He wants me to put the helmet thing on.
Sooner you than me.
Well, at least it doesn't want to pull my arm off. Okay. Lower away.
Whatever catastrophe it was, it hurled you from your own universe into this one. You carry your own matter with you. Well, not antimatter, obviously, but different from ours. Relativity. That's the key. Your universe is receding so fast, it's pushing your time back as it goes. You'll live for millions of years.
I have done.
The isolation of eons. The crushing boredom of thousands of millennia. You poor, poor creature.
Okay, it's all powered up. What now?
I don't know what to do.
Come on, mate. What's next?
Why is he just standing there? I don't know what to do. Tell me what to do.
I grew tired of creating ships, cities, continents, whole planets even. I transported life. I colonized. I helped it survive and thrive for millennia, for hundreds of millennia, thousands. Until I came to destroy, wantonly, willfully, the same ships, the same planets I helped create. And that too became too easy and too empty. Meaningless destruction is as appetizing as meaningless creation, and just as unfulfilling. Until I found distraction in the world of games. Until I could throw off pretense of purpose and meaning. Until I too could be a prey to chance and hazard. What the hazard, Doctor, which you have lost?
Is that what you want to unleash on the world?
This and thousands like it. There's nothing to stop me now. You refuse to serve my purpose, and you will now pay the price.
No!
Kill him! Kill him!
Is there a button? A switch? Anything?
Nothing. Well, nothing I can see anyway.
Yes, all right. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, all right, mate. Calm down. Well, there's no need to...
What are you doing? No. No, keep back. Keep away. Ah! Doctor! Doctor!
No! Stop it! Stop it! Stop!
Lord, what is wrong?
Looks like a bit of a brainstorm, doesn't it?
What have you done? You'll pay for this!
Oh, no, you don't!
One life left, Doctor.
No, Stefan! Behind you! Perry! Well done.
What about me?
Yeah, and me.
Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now come on, upstairs.
Search everywhere you can think of.
For what?
His telemechanical relay.
His what?
Telemechanical relay. The relays he uses to operate the hollow field downstairs. And for everything else he wants to control without really trying.
What does it look like?
I haven't the faintest idea. Just look for something you've never seen before and can't imagine a use for, and we'll start with that.
Where?
Over on the wall, the other tapestry. Rip it down. We must find it before he regains consciousness.
Doctor. Doctor.
We must hurry. Ah! Eureka!
You found it!
Yes! Just need to...
That's it?
It's over.
Come on. No more games.
Doctor, I have had millions of years to devise a punishment for you. I have millions more to inflict it.
Time you have? Yes, Toymaker. Time enough to drive any being mad. But you're no more a threat to anyone. Recognize this?
The relay?
Yes. Your own telepathic relay switch for the hollow field, which now surrounds you. Tuned to your own thought frequency, locked into a loop by the power of your own brain. It will function as long as your brain functions, even when you're asleep. Until you're dead. I detest caging even the wildest beast, Toymaker. But for you, there is no other answer. Goodbye.
Is he still unconscious?
Unfortunately for him, no.
We'd better get out then.
He can't hurt you now. I've locked him in the same sort of hollow field as he kept us in downstairs, powered by his own thoughts, locked in an endless, eternal loop.
His telepathy! He can order someone outside to destroy the relay!
You know nothing about time, Perry, nothing. I've just told you, he's trapped in an endless loop, the eternal circle. No beginning, no end. The law which applies to all universes. His thoughts will just go round and round, trapping him, holding him, echoing all around him, for the rest of time. It's loathsome.
When I screamed, I saw something. A monster. An unstoppable monster.
When you screamed, you flooded his mind. The mechanic rigged up a broadcast transmitter on the same wavelength as the controls he used for our prison. You obviously caught some of the backwash.
And the monster I saw would rampage all over Earth?
It certainly would. It and thousands like it. Generated by anyone losing at the Toymaker's latest game. Well, that was his great work.
Then you had no choice.
But don't you see, Perry? I have some idea of what it will be like. The endless, unbroken stream of time. Nothing but time.
Well, we can't just leave him where he is, cluttering up Blackpool for the rest of eternity. We'll get back to the TARDIS, and you can use the transdimensional stabilizer to whisk him off to somewhere he won't be noticed. Then you can ferry our friends downstairs back to where they came from.
What do you think I am? A cosmic taxi service?
Now that you mention it...
There's a hell of a racket down here. I'm trying to get some kip in.
Jeff!
Hello, Kev. What are you doing here? Hey, do you know the time?
I've been looking for you for ages. Come here!
Come on, you.
Shall we leave Romulus and Remus to sort things out?
Good idea.
Kevin, somewhere in here you'll find the patents for all those machines. They're yours as much as anyone's. Should be worth quite a lot of money. why don't you use it to close down the toy maker's factory? The term takeover seems very apt under the circumstances.
Hey, I've always fancied setting up on my own, like.
Take my tip. Always start at the top if you can. Bye now.
Bye.
See ya. One day.
You know, in just a couple of days I've been here, I've seen more oddballs.
Couple of days?
Yeah. You get so you don't ask any daft questions, Kev, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where are you going? The way out's back this way.
But this is the way back to the fun fair. Coming.
My name is John Ainsworth. I'm a director for Big Finish, and I've been directing The Nightmare Fair. Production's gone today very well. The last 2 days. It's I always panic a little bit that are we going to get everything done in time, and we always do, and we certainly have today. And yesterday it's been quite a comfortable recording schedule. We've not had to rush anything, so we've had time to sort of redo things when we wanted to. So yes, it's actually been a very nice, smooth experience with a nice cast of actors.
Hello there, my name is Andrew Fettis. I'm playing Stefan, a slimy, nasty piece of work. No morals, no scruples. He works for he is the toy maker's henchman, I suppose. So he's completely and utterly subservient to the toy maker, and takes out all his anger, his frustrations on other prisoners, and to all intents and purposes, the Doctor. But the Doctor ends up with the upper hand, of course.
I had hoped that listening to a Time Lord's wisdom might advance dear Stefan's education.
You left it a little late for that. And even I need some basic intelligence to work with.
I quite often get called in to play the sort of ne'er-do-wells, the nasty little creeps and henchmen. So I love them because there's always an angle to them. There's always a sort of element of cruelty or spite or nastiness. Last week, actually, I was actually a nice character for once. I got to play James II. But I remember a little while ago I was doing some sort of criminal characters, so there was all sorts of rough voices like that, and then could we have another one from you, Drew? So I ended up with a little voice like this. It was kind of slimy. Yes, of course I will see what the Doctor is doing. So yeah, I was just sort of throwing the voice around. I can't remember they're sort of odds and bods, but they're great because you go, what voice am I going to use for this one? So you get a little voice come in the box. Can you do Scots? Yeah, I'll do a Scots. So henchmen and nasties and creeps and
My name's Matthew Noble and I'm playing Kevin.
I've never been shot at before, even by myself.
Have you ever shot at someone else before?
No.
I didn't think so.
Hey, I did fine first time out.
You nearly shot everyone in sight first time out.
Don't knock it. It worked.
It did that.
I've been in with Colin and Nicola so far, and I've been doing the different Kevins that I play throughout. It's funny being in the booths today. I can't see anyone in my booth. Everyone else can see who they're acting with, but I'm enclosed. Maybe it's because of the way I look. I don't know. But they've shut me away in a dark booth, and usually I will sort of refer to people, but not today. But yeah, it's playing two different characters that are the same character kind of is making it all very interesting.
Hey, I've always fancied setting up on my own, like.
Take my tip. Always start at the top if you can.
I worked on Return to the Web Planet and Cuddlesome, which Cuddlesome was free with the Doctor Who magazine about a year ago, and that was great working on both of those with Peter Davison. And Timothy West was even in Cuddlesome, which was very, very exciting.
John? Ange?
Who is this creature?
His name is John. He's my owner. I love him.
I love you too, Cuddlesome.
John survived the viral infection, Tingus. It seems he's developed quite an interesting telepathic relationship with his Cuddlesome.
A shame it will be such a short-lived one. You forget that I too come with accessories. John!
No!
Die has been...
Not my John!
I was rung by David, the producer, and he said, we've got a character, I think you'd be really good at it, and do you want to have a go? And he sent me the script, and I read it, and he's from Blackpool, and I thought I could do it, and they trusted me, foolishly maybe.
I hope you find your brother, son, and if you do, that's the next and last time I ever want to see you. All right?
All right, aye.
The thing with Kevin is his brother's gone missing. Right at the beginning of the script, we know that his brother's been missing for a good while now, and that he keeps returning to the place where he went missing and trying to search for clues, and that's how he stumbles across this great plot to by the celestial toy maker to take over.
Hello, I'm Nicola Bryant and I play Perry. Today I've been working on the Nightmare Fair, and we're having a ball. It's all going very, very well. It's a lovely script, good story, and it's very well cast. Really enjoying getting to grips with this particular episode, which of course is part of the whole Lost season from Colin and I way back, what would it have been, the 23rd season or something? Something like that, yes. You've got to have that imagination, and I think I've probably got an overactive imagination. So I just really enjoy it. I mean, I enjoy the action parts of all of the Big Finish. I loved doing, I think it was Ivor Scorpion, all that chariot riding and imagining I was doing that. And you can get absolutely exhausted recording some of these things because you are jumping up and down in the sound booth and putting yourself through that.
Her chariot's out of control.
There's another chariot. She's being chased. Over here! This way! Perry, are you ready?
Nearly.
Hurry, she's almost through. Quickly!
There, done! She's through! Pull it tight! We got it!
The horses have been scared out of their wits. She can't control them. Keep an eye on our friend there.
What?
I don't have time to argue. Someone has to stop those horses. Tell your friend I borrowed his chariot for a few minutes. Hiya!
I hope this isn't an antique.
Oh.
Sorry.
I think it's probably one of the essential roles of the companion. I mean, it frequently starts with us being separated so that the story doesn't become, very, the mono story, very linear. You've got two plots going on. You've got two characters that you're particularly concerned about, and you're concerned that they must meet up again and they must get safely back to the TARDIS. And I think it's one of those essential parts. And Perry also has to perform as the vehicle of the companion to ask all those questions that people want to know. Well, why is this happening? Explain this to me, Doctor. As well as being sort of an independent girl on her own little adventure. So I like it when we get separated, but I like to make sure I've got enough stuff with the Doctor as well. Because that's all the character stuff that's fun as well.
The Doctor was in the car right behind me. People don't just disappear.
That's what I've been telling you, lass.
The relationship that I have with Colin is very special, and we just slot right back into those roles. And, it is odd, so many years later, to step into the studio and go, hello, here I am. I'm, 17, 18, an American. I'm Perry, But it's like an old pair of slippers. You just put it on, it's really comfortable, and you know exactly where you are.
Honestly, young people today... When I was your age, I had enough stuff in my pockets to build a hollow field scrambler in 5 minutes flat, and often did. Hello, I'm Colin Baker. I once played the Sixth Doctor on television, and I'm still playing him on audio for Big Finish. But the Doctor I'm giving you in The Nightmare Fair is the 1980s Doctor. And Blackpool figures in my childhood, because I used to go there a lot when I was a kid. I used to get on my bike from Rochdale, where I lived, about 50 miles away, and cycle there. I can't believe it now. For the day. Get up early in the morning, about 6 o'clock, get there about 9 or 10, spend the day in Blackpool and cycle home.
I've been to Blackpool. I've been to Blackpool a couple of times. I did some work there, which actually was a very interesting incident, which is totally irrelevant. I got questioned by the police because I was staying in the hotel before Margaret Thatcher was due to be there, and I hadn't used my home address for the... when I registered in the hotel, so I was taken aside as a possible, saboteur. And then I explained, well, I never actually use my home address when I'm logging in, because sometimes you get a lot of mail from people who've just looked up your home address in the hotel register. So that was a very odd situation. I also went to Blackpool for the Doctor Who exhibition, which was great fun. I went round that many, many years ago. People have sent me a few photos of me doing it. I lose track of what happened when, to be honest.
I'm David Richardson. I'm the producer of The Lost Stories. It has taken some work, actually, taking the scripts that were meant for television and putting them on audio. Taking Mission to Magnus as an example, I think we counted up originally something like 20 characters in that script. Normally at Big Finish we'd try and aim for about 7 or 8 characters, because that's basically what we're budgeting for. Obviously a TV budget is much bigger, lots more to play with, and then they would have been recording over a period of something like 6 studio days and maybe a week's filming, so that the money would have been more spread out. We're recording over 2 days, so everything's got to be squeezed in that time. For Mission to Magnus, we basically got round it by splitting the characters up between 2 days. So on one day we did all the stuff with the Magnus elite, with the Rana Zandusia and Syl and Anzor, and the next day we had the Ice Warriors in and the children. So that was a kind of inventive budgetary way of getting around the fact that they were TV scripts we were doing on audio. The Nightmare Fair actually was a much more contained story, so there wasn't really that much of a problem because there weren't that many guest characters. We have had some characters in for some days and some for the others, but it's not been overflowing in terms of the number of people we've had in it.
My name's Toby Longworth, and in this I will be playing, or have played, or you will be hearing me playing, I'm not sure which tense to go in, Yashimoto, the arcade owner, Truscott, and Man.
We are not a missing persons bureau. Your brother's over 16 and he's committed no crime that we are aware of. You will stop wasting police time. If you find yourself in that park one more time on your way home from a party, I shall view it very seriously indeed. So seriously that I might forget my professional detachment and personally throw the flaming book at you.
Yeah, it's gone very well. All very entertaining. I always think that both when getting killed horrifically in any sense is always a little bit tricky, but getting killed horrifically when you've got an accent, it always runs a risk you might strangle it in some way and come out not being able to do any voices, but it went all right. I have a selection of characters that I do that live in my head. I have people that I can cast from, so in a weird sort of way what I have is a kind of a roster of people, and I will cast them from that roster. In fact, Truscott in this is actually my dad, who doesn't turn up very often in these shows, but he turns up in this one because my dad was extremely forthright and got very angry very quickly, and but then got very nice immediately afterwards. And so that's where you cast him from. I've often felt that Colin's Doctor, now that he has been given the chance to really flesh it out with Big Finish, which I feel has happened. A lot of the time, there's something of the Second Doctor about him. I feel it has some. There are quite. There are parallels. They have a similar kind of irritability but playfulness. I think he combines those two elements quite successfully.
Yes, I will play your game, Toymaker. But not yet. Not at all, unless...
In terms of the Celestial Toymaker and the Magic Mousetrap had been in pre-production for quite some time before the idea of the Lost Stories had been around. Certainly I'd known it as an idea since I'd walked through the door at Big Finish, and I think I'd expected that the Celestial Toymaker was actually going to be in it in a fully corporeal form. So when we came to do Nightmare Fair, there was some discussion that the actor who was playing the Toymaker in Magic Mousetrap would be the same actor who we'd cast in Nightmare Fair. Of course, for those who've now heard Magic Mousetrap, the Toymaker actually is not featured per se. He's been split up into different segments, so he doesn't have one voice. So we couldn't actually do that. So we sort of sat around and we had a wish list of actors who we would cast in this for the Toymaker. And I felt it needed to be somebody who in Doctor Who terms was kind of a bit of an iconic actor, and somebody who had real presence, a real sense of authority, and just you would know when he was in a scene that he was absolutely, you were riveted by him in that scene. We just went through a number of people, and somebody I was so keen on was David Bailey, because I remembered him from the Robots of Death, and he was this astonishing villain. He absolutely oozed presence off the screen. And I sent the idea off to John Ainsworth, and he thought, yeah, great, but I know David actually didn't have an agent at the time, so we tracked him down with a bit of an internet search, and he loved the idea. He embraced the script. He thought it was a lot of fun, but also there was a lot there to play with, and we reached agreement very quickly.
125,000, Toymaker! Not far to go now.
But will you make it, Doctor? Your progress has slowed. You are tiring.
Bigger than the Doctor, as the Doctor says. He's, he could play and toy with the Doctor as much as he wanted, and has done with many other Time Lords, and yeah, so he's obviously quite a successful villain over the years, and has outlived more Time Lords than most of the villains.
It captures the imagination, the idea of this immortal being who plays games with people and steals their souls and lives away. It's a timeless idea. I'm kind of surprised it hasn't been revisited more, actually. And if you think about it, I think there's been one novel plus one audio story, and plus this one which would have been written for TV. I mean, there are no plans at Big Finish, but I'm sure somebody somewhere is going to run with the idea. I mean, he's such a great character that there's no way he won't be back.
I detest caging even the wildest beast, Toymaker. But for you, there is no other answer. Goodbye.
I remember, as a viewer, as a fan in the 1980s, being absolutely gutted that series didn't happen. And I think that has stayed with me, actually. I think that's one of the reasons we wanted to do this at Big Finish, was to actually make amends for the fact that it didn't happen. Personally, I feel so sort of chuffed that we did. It's there. It's finally there.
And for me, the only script I'd ever seen of all the ones we've just done, or heard about in many cases, was The Nightmare Fair, which I had been shown by John Nathan Turner on a plane coming back from America. And I read it the once, and he took it back off me, because it was the first draft or the second draft. And I was really looking forward to doing that. So it's only taken me 25 years to actually do it, but I have done it. And the Celestial Toymaker. I've worked with a Celestial Toymaker at last.
Greetings, Doctor.
You? The Toymaker?
I'm gratified that you still remember me.
How close were you actually going into rehearsals with that? I mean, I don't know the timing.
No, we weren't at all.
Right, it was still a way off, was it?
Yeah.
Right.
I suppose they were commissioning the next series already. There were probably half a dozen other scripts floating about.
But we were only weeks away, weren't we?
We were.
Weeks away. Because we had like a 3-week break, 4-week, whatever it was.
Yeah, I can't remember the timings.
No, I just remember it was February, I know that I got the phone call, and I know that we were due back in a couple of weeks. I knew I was away on holiday, and I knew I'd come back like a week before we were due to start.
Right, because my daughter Lucy was born in March, and my first thought was, well, that's giving me paternity leave. You're quite right. That's exactly when it was.
Yeah. So we were pretty close. I mean, maybe a couple of weeks away from starting rehearsal.
Oh, what a view!
Hi, my name is Jamie Robertson, and I am the sound designer and music composer for The Nightmare Fair.
There's nowhere else like it. Well, nowhere in this galaxy, anyway. They're trying to build one out on the rim of the Crab Nebula, but the design concept's all wrong. They're trying to build it for a purpose.
When David came to me and commissioned me to do the Nightmare Fair sound design, he said that he wanted to get everyone to try and do it as close to the 80s as possible, to make them sound, as if it had been lost from the 80s and the audios had been found.
Yes, that's it. That's the old Pathfinder tradition. Never lost one yet.
So did you come across any problems or challenges in bringing this particular script to life as a period piece?
Back then, it would have been no dance music or anything in the backgrounds on the rides and stuff. If I go and record now in a fun fair or somewhere, it would be a lot of dance music and pop music from today playing. Lady Gaga, whoever else is in the charts at the moment. But obviously we can't have that for a fun fair that's meant to be set in 1985. Was it 1985? Can't remember now. So I forget myself.
Oh, it's a long time ago.
In the middle of the 80s, we can't have current day music playing to match in with the story. So I actually had to go and layer all the sounds together. Everything you hear, it has been layered together. Everything from the screaming on the roller coasters when the people are having fun, to the roller coaster sounds themselves, right down to the arcades, the slot machines. Everything has actually been layered. I think one scene, there was actually about 30 different tracks of individual sounds I actually had to go and record. The roller coaster was actually a mixture of, it was about several roller coasters I actually mixed together, because there were only short sounds I had, so I actually had to mix them together and add in some train track effects as well to get that sound, and then we had to extend it because we felt it was a bit too short. I had to envision what it was like being on a roller coaster. I don't actually like going on roller coasters myself, but when I was a kid I could remember, when you're climbing up the big hill, you get to the top and you can hear all the distant screams and people and down below mingling in the fun fair and that, and you got the wind up there. So I actually tried to put that into the sound design as well of that particular scene, as they're getting higher and higher and higher, and then obviously once you get to the top, the chugga 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 sound changes. And it's like, let's go, the roller coaster zooms down and all the screaming's going on, and it's a bit of wind, and then that thrum of the real bass sound of when it gets to the bottom, straight up again. And then right down to the fact when the roller coaster comes into the station area, the sound had to change there as well. Ooh. And then the sound for everyone getting out of the little cars for the roller coaster as the Doctor and Perry talk. You can hear the slamming of doors in the background, and that was all loads of different car doors basically. And then the sound changed to make them sound smaller than the car door onto a little roller coaster door. It was quite fun, messing around. I could have sat there all day doing that for several days.
That was fun! Oh, I really enjoyed that!
There was loads and loads of effects for that one scene, but hopefully it paid off. There was some areas when doing it, like particularly in the end of the second part with the computer, where we had to be careful it didn't get too messy. In fact, I think a lot of it actually changed, if I remember rightly. I think we did actually have the scenes of the computer effects were quite different originally, and then we had to change it. It was basically, explaining what was going on through sounds, because obviously you hear a lot of lot of screaming. Different effects going on, but there's no narration to actually tell you what's going on. So yeah, it was rather episode 2, I'd say, at the end was the harder part, but I think we just about pulled it off.